You know, I still get chills thinking about that day in the sprawling Malibu mansion, where this hotshot real estate mogul, Ahmed Khalil, just lost it on his longtime housekeeper, Jamila Thompson, screaming at her like she was dirt under his shoe, accusing her of dipping into his company's funds for a cool $1.8 million that had vanished like smoke. Ahmed, this sharp-dressed Syrian-American guy in his late 40s who'd built an empire flipping luxury condos and resorts, was pacing his marble-floored office, veins popping, yelling, "You're done. Jamilano references? No nothing. And if I don't see that money back by tomorrow, I'll bury you so deep you'll wish you'd never set foot in California." But Jamila, this quiet 40-something black woman who'd been dusting his shelves and scrubbing his floors for 6 years, just stood there, calm as a summer lake, clutching her mop like it was nothing more than a minor hiccup in her day, her eyes locking onto his with this weird mix of pity and steel that threw him off completely. It all started bubbling up from Ahmed's side because his world was cracking. His Khalil Properties Group was under quiet scrutiny from the feds for shady deals, like inflating property values to launder cash from sketchy overseas investors, and even worse, strong-arming low-income neighborhoods into selling out cheap so he could gentrify them into high-rises, displacing families who'd lived there for generations. He'd always seen Jamila as just the help, invisible, reliable, but ultimately beneath him, especially with his subtle digs about her background during staff meetings, fueled by this deep-seated resentment from his own immigrant struggles, thinking anyone not climbing the ladder like him was lazy or scheming. That morning, his accountant had flagged those missing funds transfers to offshore accounts that Ahmed himself had orchestrated to hide bribes to city officials for zoning favors, and, in his panic, he needed a fall guy, someone easy to pin it on. So he zeroed in on Jamila, the one with keys to his home office when he jetted off to Dubai or Vegas. "You think I don't notice how you linger in here?" he snarled, getting right in her face, his voice dripping with that mix of arrogance and fear. "Admit it. You've been snooping, cooking the books while I'm gone." But Jamila didn't flinch. She just tilted her head slightly, saying softly, "Mr. Khalil, are you really sure this is the hill you want to die on, blaming the woman who knows every corner of your life?" As the words hung in the air, Ahmed felt this nagging itch, like she'd dropped a hint he couldn't quite grab. And later that night, nursing a scotch in his empty mansion, overlooking the Pacific waves crashing like his crumbling empire, he couldn't shake it. Her poise wasn't fear, it was something sharper, like she held the winning hand in a game he didn't even know they were playing. He'd built his fortune on reading people, spotting weaknesses in sellers, charming buyers, but Jamila? She'd always been a blank slate, efficient to a fault, never complaining about the late nights or the way he'd bark orders. And now that blankness felt like a mask. By dawn, curiosity and, yeah, a dash of paranoia pushed him to do something impulsive. Hop in his sleek Porsche and drive to her modest bungalow in South LA, the kind of neighborhood he'd bulldozed replicas of for profit, hoping to catch her off guard, maybe spot a flashy car or signs she'd been living large on his dime. The streets shifted from palm-lined boulevards to cracked sidewalks with kids playing ball, and when he pulled up to her tidy little house with its faded blue shutters and a vegetable garden out front, it didn't scream thief, it screamed ordinary, which only twisted the knife of doubt deeper. He banged on the door, half expecting hysterics, but Jamila opened it in a simple sundress. No makeup, no surprise, just a quiet, "Mr. Khalil, I've been half expecting you. Come on in. There's coffee if you want." Her voice had this easy lilt, like she was hosting an old friend, and as he stepped inside, the air felt thick with something unspoken. The living room was cozy, bookshelves crammed with tomes on finance and law, and then his eyes caught the framed certificates on the wall. Boom, like a punch to the gut. Masters in Forensic Accounting from Stanford, and FBI Special Investigator Training, Quantico. He froze, stammering, "What the hell is this?" And Jamila, pouring him a mug without missing a beat, smiled not her usual deferential grin, but something sly, triumphant, surprised. Yeah, most people are when they realize the help has been auditing them for years. Turns out, Jamila wasn't just mopping floors. She'd been deep undercover for the FBI and SEC in Operation Shadow deals, infiltrating Ahmed's life to gather dirt on his empire's underbelly. Those inflated appraisals weren't just greedy. They were part of a racket funneling dirty money from corrupt developers, and worse, evicting tenants through forged documents and threats, all to flip properties for massive gains, leaving communities shattered. She slid a thick binder across the table, pages spilling with photos of his secret meetings, wire transfers, even recordings of him schmoozing council members with envelopes of cash. You see, Mr. Khalil, while I was vacuuming your office, I was also photographing every shady contract, every whispered call about relocating those families in Inglewood so you could build your luxury towers. Ahmed's mind reeled. He dismissed her as just Jamila, but her calm stemmed from years of grit growing up in those very neighborhoods he targeted, losing her own family home to similar schemes, which fueled her to join the feds, turning personal pain into a quest for justice. "You threatened me yesterday, remember?" she said, pulling out a tiny recorder from her pocket, replaying his rant. "That adds witness tampering to your list, right alongside fraud and racketeering." His empire's dark side hit him like a tidal wave. The displaced families weren't abstractions. They were people like Jamila's old neighbors and his son, Rami, who'd run the ground operations, strong-arming holdouts with fake legal threats, all because Ahmed had drilled into him that power meant never backing down. Just then, her phone buzzed, and she nodded. "They're here." Outside, unmarked SUVs rolled up, agents spilling out like a scene from a thriller, badges flashing under the morning sun. The lead agent, a no-nonsense guy named Torres, clapped Jamila on the shoulder. "Agent Thompson, stellar work. This takedown's textbook." Ahmed, cuffs clicking on, begged, "Wait, we can deal it. It got connections, money." But Torres just chuckled dryly. "Your accounts are iced, properties seized, and those families you evicted? They're getting restitution from your sales." As they hauled him away, Jamila watched from the porch, her face a mix of quiet victory and weariness. 6 years of pretending, swallowing insults, all to nail a man who'd built wealth on others' ruins. Months later, she got a commendation in D.C., the FBI director praising her for busting a network that had uprooted hundreds, saving neighborhoods from more greed. One evicted mom even hugged her, whispering, "You gave us our voice back." Ahmed, he's rotting in federal pen for 40 years, empire crumbled, son doing 20 total, fall from grace. But here's the thing that sticks with me. In a world where the powerful stomp on the overlooked, was Jamila's long-con justice, or just revenge dressed up? Did going undercover that deep cross a line, blurring ethics in the name of righting wrongs? I mean, communities heal, but at what cost to trust? Drop a comment below. What do you think? Was this pure heroism, or does it open a can of worms about how far we go for justice? Share your stories if you've seen similar neighborhood battles, and hit subscribe if these real-life twists keep you hooked. We've got more coming.